Hey, it's a brand new week. Thought I was going to be done with this last week, but this material's so good. I wanted to continue it. It's Monday morning. Pastor Ray, hopefully wrapping up Moses. And here we go. The children of Israel have been scared stiff. They are trying to leave the promised land. Pharaoh's chasing them down, and they react with 5 destructive decisions. And then Moses stands up and says, I've got to get these people to God's best future for their lives. And he does it by saying this: do not fear. Number 1 is this: stop being afraid. Number 2 is this: take a stand. Go in God's best direction, even if it's harder. And 3 is this: rely on the promises of God. Rely on the promises of God. I love this. He goes, stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today you will never see again. And I love this. He goes, the Lord will fight for you. You only need to be still. I love this. He goes, stop whining. God will work. He goes, rely on the promises of God. When you decide, I'm not going to be crippled by fear, you have a future. When you decide, I am going to go in God's direction, take a stand, even when it's not, you have a future. When you rely on the promises of God, now you have fuel to take the steps you need to take. And the 4th one is this: do not fear, take a stand, rely on the promises of God. Then you have inner stuff. And here it is. 4 is this: go forward. Go forward. And I love this verse. It's the only time in the Bible I can find where God stopped a prayer meeting. It says this: as the Lord said to Moses, why are you crying out to me? Tell the sons of Israel, here's 2 great words, to go forward. Raise your staff, stretch out your hand over the sea to divide the water so the Israelites can go through on dry ground. I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians so they will go in after them, and I will gain glory through Pharaoh and his army. The Egyptians will know that I am the Lord. I gain glory through Pharaoh, his chariots, and his horsemen. And for the first time in hundreds of years, they take a step. And the minute they had the courage to take a step, God worked. God waited them. God waited for them to take a step before it pardoned. In other words, sometimes you want God's best. You have to go, what is the step God wants me to take? And you take that step. And then I love this, okay? And here's what happens. Then Moses stretched out. By the way, 5th, if you're writing all this stuff down somehow, 5th prescription is this: expect God to work. I'm going to cover it again. Okay, here it is. Do not fear. Step 1. Step 2 in any crisis is this: take a stand. Go in the right direction even when it's harder. 3rd is this: where do you get like heart for that kind of thing? You rely on the promises of God. Then you go forward. You get out of neutral and you take a step in the direction God wants you to go. And the last one is this: expect God to work. Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and that night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind and turned it into dry land. The waters were divided, and the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground with a wall of water on the right and on the left. The Egyptians pursued them, and all of Pharaoh's horses and chariots followed them into the sea. During the last watch of the night, the Lord looked down from the pillar of fire and the cloud, and pretty much what happened is he goes, hey, the whole sea comes back together. Pharaoh's whole army is underwater. And now, I've been a professor before. I also know that some critics of the Bible say, well, it wasn't the Red Sea, it was the Sea of Reeds, okay? Folks, either way, you have a genuine miracle. Either you have the miracle of God parting the Red Sea and over 1 million people go forward and they have a great future for God, or you have the other miracle of a finely trained, highly equipped, finely tuned, massive Egyptian army all drowning in 6 inches of water. You can think, oh no, my ankles are wet, stabbing. Either way, you have a genuine miracle. I want to wrap this up by getting real personal with you. 30 years ago, I was standing in front of an impossible Red Sea. And there were people that were telling us, would you please start a church in Granite Bay? And to be really honest with you, I spent 6 months saying no. I just did not want to do it because I was afraid. And matter of fact, I even coached these folks, but I was afraid to be a pastor. I was afraid you'd get too criticized, which happens. I was afraid you have to raise money and nobody likes that, which happens. I was afraid with hundreds of staff people, somebody would go south and then bash you and you can't really defend yourself. So that happens. I was afraid of everything you could think of, okay? And And so I'm literally standing in front of the sea, and I'm going, all I know is this: I'm not going to take a step in. And to be really honest with you, I was afraid, because I was afraid of everything you can think of. That's 30 years ago. And went to a prayer meeting, and God basically called me, crystal clear call, to take a step and start the church. And did the hardest thing I've ever done. First of all, I took one step in, and I said, okay, here we go. Took another step. And the cool thing about this is when you have the courage, here it is: do not fear, take a stand, rely on God's promises, and go forward. And I felt like for the first time in years, I went, okay, I'm going to take a step that's scary and go forward. Then what happened is this: they take a step in, but then a million people go with them. And every now and then people go, oh, great job. And I'm going, whoa, great church. Single thing at Bayside wasn't my idea. I didn't want to do this. And the blessing of going forward and obeying God and relying on his promises for strength and then going in God's direction, then you get to expect God to work and you get to see God work. And God has worked, I joked about it. God has worked stuff I never imagined in my life, in my family, in relatives we have, in my kids, now in my grandkids. So cool. Our grandkids are at breakaway day camps. I've never seen anything like it. And there is, like the last 30 years, by far, have exceeded every dream I would have ever had. And it feels like we're still getting started. The reason I'm telling you this, I almost missed the best years of my life because I was paralyzed by fear. Let me just be Moses for a minute, old guy Moses, and say this: Moses was, do not fear. Take a stand, rely on God's promises, and go forward, and you get to see God at work. Take a step in the right direction and trust God. Just see what he does in your life and in your future. God bless. Have a great day.